My name is Claire Harlow, and I'm 36 years old. On paper, my life looks fine. That's the word people use when they're skimming instead of really reading. Fine, stable, solid. The kind of life where your bills are on auto pay, your investments rebalance themselves in the background, and your dishwasher hums every night at exactly 10:15 p.m. I work in tech, nothing glamorous, just back-end systems for a mid-sized company. I live in a well-kept two-bedroom apartment with my boyfriend, Jason Crow. We've been together for 3 years, living together for a year and a half. He's 37, works in real estate, has a portfolio of polished Instagram photos, a rotating collection of blazers, and a mother who texts both of us motivational quotes she finds on Facebook. On paper, we're fine. We split the bills fairly. We both make decent money. We have a joint Costco membership and a shared digital calendar. I am the one who tracks our savings, our emergency fund, the slow but steady climb of my retirement accounts. Jason is the one who knows which restaurant just opened downtown and which rooftop bar everyone is going to. From the outside, I'm sure we look like a couple heading toward marriage. The problem didn't start with anything big. It rarely does. It started with clothes. "You should get nicer shoes," Jason said one Saturday morning as I slipped on my black flats, the same pair I'd had for 3 years. I was heading to brunch with his friends. "What's wrong with these?" I asked. "Nothing," he said in that tone that means there's definitely something. "They're just basic. You're a senior engineer now, you should look the part." I laughed it off. He worked in real estate where appearances mattered more, so I figured this was his version of being helpful. A little shallow, sure, but not malicious. But the comments didn't stop. They escalated. "That shirt is kind of worn out. Maybe invest in a better blazer. You know, a structured handbag would really elevate your look. Do you ever think about getting a watch? Like a nice one." People notice details. At first, I treated it like background noise. The way you ignore a dripping faucet because you can still live with it. But drips over time add up. We went to one of his company's networking events about 4 months ago. Jason called it a casual mixer, so I wore dark jeans, a silky blouse, a blazer, and ankle boots. My hair was neat, makeup minimal but present. We walked in, and the room was full of real estate people. High heels, sharp suits, tailored dresses. Jason's jaw tightened almost immediately. He pulled me aside after maybe 20 minutes. "Why didn't you wear a dress?" he hissed. "You said casual," I replied. "This is my version of casual." "Casual for real estate still means elevated," he said. "Look around. Everyone else got the memo." I did look. I wasn't the only one in jeans and a blazer.
"I'm not the only one dressed like this," I pointed out. "You're with me," he said quietly. "People are judging me based on how you present yourself." That stung. "So I'm embarrassing you?" "I didn't say that. I'm just saying you could put in more effort." We left early. In the car, the silence between us was louder than the traffic. When we got home, Jason went straight to bed without saying goodnight. I sat in the living room with the TV off, staring at my reflection in the dark screen, wondering when making an effort stopped being enough and started being a moving target. After that night, the comparisons started. Not just vague comments about looking the part anymore. Specific comparisons to specific people. The main one was his friend's husband, Gavin Beckett. Gavin was the husband of Jason's college friend, Leah, a woman who treated Instagram like a part-time job. They were the couple always framed in perfect lighting. Tuxedos and gowns, black and white photos in luxury hotel lobbies, champagne flutes held just so. "Look at this," Jason would say, shoving his phone toward me while we were drinking coffee on Saturday mornings. "They went to that new place downtown." I'd glance at the picture. Leah in a fitted black dress, Gavin in a razor-sharp suit, watch glinting under the restaurant lights. "That's nice," I'd say. "Don't you want to go places like that?" Jason asked. "Sure," I answered. "We can go if you want." "It's not just about going," he said. "It's about being the kind of people who belong in places like that." "What does that even mean?" I asked. "It means looking the part," he said. "Dressing appropriately, making an impression." "I'm successful in my own way, Jason," I said. "I make good money. I'm stable. I contribute equally." He waved that off. "It's not about the money. It's about how you present yourself." Jason started sending me links to designer handbags, minimalist high-end heels, watches that cost more than my first car. You know how much a good watch costs? I asked one night. $5, $10, $15,000 for something that tells time worse than my phone. It's not about telling time, he said patiently. It's about signaling that you've made it. I have made it, I said. I have savings, no debt, investments. Why do I need to signal anything to anyone? He looked at me like I was missing something obvious. Because that's how the world works, Claire. People respect what they can see. The final straw came on a Tuesday. We were getting ready for dinner with Gavin and Leia. Jason had been hinting all week that it was important we make a good impression. I came out of the bedroom in tailored khaki trousers, a cream blouse, and a navy blazer. My hair was smoothed back, makeup a touch more dramatic than usual. I looked like myself, upgraded. Jason looked up from his phone and sighed. "Really?" he asked. "That's what you're wearing?" My stomach dropped. "What's wrong with it?" "Nothing," he said. "If you're going to a parent-teacher conference, we're having dinner with successful people, Claire." "These are your friends from college," I said slowly. "Not investors, not clients." He grabbed his wallet and keys. "Why can't you dress like my friend's husband?" he snapped. "Gavin actually looks successful." Something in me shifted. It wasn't anger exactly. Anger is hot, explosive. This was colder, clearer, like a lens snapping into focus. "Makes sense," I said. Jason blinked, thrown off by my calm. "What?" "You're right," I said evenly. "I should match his energy, all of it." A slow smile spread across his face. "Finally, thank you." We drove to the restaurant in silence. Dinner was exactly what you'd expect. Soft lighting, heavy cutlery, a wine list longer than some novels. Leia and Gavin swept in 10 minutes late. Gavin was in a dark suit that fit him like it had been tailored by someone who charged by the hour. His watch caught the light every time he lifted his hand. I watched the way he and Leia interacted. She deferred to him on everything. What wine to order, which appetizers to get, even what she should have for her main course. It was subtle, but the dynamic was there. A constant performance for an invisible audience. At one point, I found myself alone with Gavin at the bar. "Can I ask you something personal?" I said. Gavin grinned. "Sure, shoot." "How do you and Leia handle finances?" His eyes lit up. "We have a prenup. Actually, more than that, we have a full financial agreement that governs everything. Her spending, my accounts, separate property, all of it. My attorney set it up before we got married." "And she was okay with that?" I asked. "She wanted the lifestyle," he said with a shrug. "This is the price. I maintain control of my assets. She gets to enjoy the benefits. Everyone wins." "What kind of specifics are in it?" "Everything," he said. "She has a monthly allowance for personal expenses. I control the joint account. Any purchase over a certain amount needs my approval. If we divorce, she gets a predetermined amount based on length of marriage, nothing more. It protects what I've built." "She signed that willingly?" I pressed. "She signed because she wanted the ring, the wedding, the lifestyle," he said. "You give women what they want, they'll agree to almost anything." The casual misogyny hit me like a cold draft. This was the man Jason wanted me to emulate. This was the relationship Jason held up as a blueprint. On the drive home, Jason was chattier than he'd been in weeks. "See," he said, "isn't it better being around people who have their lives together?" "They seem very organized," I said. "There's a difference between just making money and actually being successful," he went on. "It's about the whole package." "The whole package," I repeated. "The way you present yourself," he said. "The way people perceive you. That's what success really is." I didn't argue. I just watched the lights of the city slide over his profile, thinking about Gavin's contract, Leia's practiced smile, Jason's obsession with appearances. By the time we pulled into our parking garage, I had made up my mind. If Jason wanted me to match Gavin's energy, then I would, just not in the way he imagined. The next morning, I called an attorney. I spent an hour at my laptop before work, combing through websites for firms that specialized in high-net-worth prenups and complex financial agreements. I found one, Daniel Price. His website talked about asset protection, complex marital contracts, and bespoke financial governance structures. I booked a consultation for that afternoon. At 2 p.m., I sat in a glass-walled conference room downtown. Daniel walked in exactly on time. He was in his early 40s in a navy suit that fit perfectly, but didn't scream for attention. "So," he said, "tell me why you're here." "My boyfriend is obsessed with appearances," I said. "We've been together 3 years. I work in tech, he works in real estate. I save, invest, plan, he curates. Lately, he's been pressuring me to look more successful. Designer everything, luxury lifestyle. He compares me to his friend's husband constantly." Daniel nodded. "And where does the legal agreement come in?" "They have one," I said. "Some strict financial agreement that controls her spending, protects his assets, sets an allowance, limits what she gets in a divorce. My boyfriend idolizes this man, and he wants me to emulate him. So I figured if he wants that lifestyle, he can have the full package." Daniel's mouth twitched. "You want to match the energy?" "Exactly. What are your assets, roughly?" I listed them. My savings, retirement accounts, a modest but healthy investment portfolio, no debt. I watched his eyebrows rise. "You've done well," he said. "I'm careful," I answered, "and I'd like to stay that way." Smart. If he's focused on lifestyle and image, and you're the one quietly building stability, you need protection. I can draft something comprehensive. I want it at least as protective as what Gavin described, I said. Maybe more. "We can create an agreement where all of your current assets remain separate property," he explained. "Future income goes into accounts he can't touch. He can have an allowance for personal expenses. Any purchase above a threshold requires your approval. Predetermined settlement if you divorce, nothing beyond that. Limited or no spousal support." Hearing it laid out made my stomach twist. But then I pictured Jason scrolling through photos of Gavin's suits, the way he'd said, "Why can't you dress like my friend's husband?" Like I was failing some invisible test. Good, I thought. Let him see what the test actually costs. What's this going to cost me? Initial consultation and drafting, about $3,000. If he contests it or we negotiate heavily, that's extra. I signed the engagement letter and paid the retainer. Over the next 2 days, Daniel sent me drafts. The agreement was thorough. Every page was another reminder that this wasn't just about clothes. It was about power. All of my current assets were listed explicitly as separate property. Any future income I earned went into accounts solely under my control. Jason would have access only to a designated joint account I could monitor and cap. There was a monthly allowance line item for his personal expenses. Any purchase over a certain amount required both our signatures. If we divorced, he'd receive a predetermined settlement based on length of marriage. No claim on my pre-existing assets, no open-ended alimony. "This seems harsh," I said to Daniel over the phone. "This," Daniel answered, "is what successful people with assets do. You wanted to mirror the arrangement your boyfriend idolizes. This is that refined." Feels like I'm handing him a collar and leash. No one is forcing him to sign. That's the point. If he's truly as in love with the lifestyle as you describe, he may be willing to sign anything to secure it. And if he refuses, then you don't get married. Better to know that now. By Friday, the documents were finalized. "I can come to your apartment," Daniel suggested. "Present the agreement, answer his questions. It's often cleaner with counsel present." "Do it," I said. I told Jason we had an important meeting about our future after work. He lit up. "Finally," he said. He came home that evening in a crisp shirt and his nicest blazer. "You look nice," I said. "So what's the big talk?" he asked. "You finally want to go over ring styles, venues?" "Sit down," I said. "I invited someone." There was a knock on the door. I opened it. Daniel stood there with his portfolio. "Good evening, Miss Harlow," he said. "Mr. Crow." Jason blinked. "Who's this?" "Daniel Price. I'm an attorney. I've prepared a comprehensive financial agreement for you both to review before marriage." For a second, Jason's face lit up. Then Daniel opened his folder, and Jason saw the thickness of the stack of papers. His smile faltered. "Wait, what?" "This is me matching the energy you wanted," I said quietly. "You kept telling me to be more like Gavin. This is what being like Gavin looks like behind the scenes." Jason sat opposite me. "I don't understand."
We are planning, I said. We're planning what our future would actually look like legally, financially. You wanted the lifestyle. This is the price. Daniel slid the document toward him. This agreement outlines how assets, income, and expenses will be handled during your marriage and in the event of a divorce. It's standard for individuals who wish to protect what they've built while still offering their partner a comfortable lifestyle. Jason stared at the first page, then flipped to the second, the third. This says I don't have access to your accounts, he said slowly. Correct. And I get a monthly allowance. His voice rose on the last word. Yes, a generous one based on Miss Harlow's current income. And any big purchase needs her approval. Like I'm some teenager with a debit card. Any purchase over a certain amount requires dual consent to protect major assets and prevent impulsive decisions. Jason looked at me like he'd never seen me before. Are you serious with this? I am. This is insane, Claire. I can't access your accounts. I get an allowance. You control everything. His voice cracked. What? You don't trust me? You don't respect me, I answered. You've spent months telling me I'm not good enough as I am, that I don't look successful enough, that I'm embarrassing you. You compared me to Gavin like he was some ideal. This is what that ideal looks like, Jason. Contracts, control, conditions. This isn't romantic. Neither is constantly criticizing my clothes and comparing me to other people. He turned to Daniel. And if I don't sign this? Then you don't get married. That's how these agreements work. Both parties must agree voluntarily. Jason looked back at me. You're seriously saying you won't marry me unless I sign this? I'm saying that if you want me to adopt the appearance and lifestyle you've been pushing for, this comes with it. You can't have one without the other. You wanted me to be like Gavin. This is what that actually means. The silence felt like a chasm. I need time to think, he said finally, pushing the papers away. Take all the time you need, I replied. The agreement stands. He stood abruptly. I'm staying at a friend's tonight. Lila and Gavin? I asked. He hesitated. Yeah, maybe they can help me figure out what the hell you're doing. I hope they do, I said. I hope you hear exactly what their arrangement is really like. He grabbed his overnight bag and walked out. When Daniel left, the apartment felt too big, too quiet. Part of me felt cruel. Part of me felt like I'd just done the bravest thing I'd ever done. I'd matched his energy all right. And now we'd find out what he really valued. The lifestyle he idolized, or the woman who refused to bankrupt herself to play along. Jason didn't come home that night, or the next. He texted me once. I just need space. I replied, take the time you need. He came back Sunday morning. I was making coffee when I heard his key in the lock. He walked in slowly. Hey, he said. Hi. I slid a mug toward him. Coffee? He accepted it but didn't drink. I talked to Leah, he said, and she said Gavin's agreement isn't that strict. She said yours is, her words, borderline insane. I almost laughed. I'm not Gavin. This is mine, built for my assets, my boundaries. Claire, we've been together for 3 years. We live together. We share everything. And suddenly you spring a legal trap on me. It's not a trap. It's transparency. No, he shook his head. It's control. And what do you call months of telling me how to dress so I'm a more polished accessory for you? That's not fair, he snapped. I was just trying to help you improve. Jason, I don't need improvement. I need respect. And the agreement makes it clear that if you want the appearance of success, you accept the reality of it too. I just don't understand how you could do this, he muttered. Make something so cold, so transactional. Jason, you wanted a transactional life. You wanted the trappings of status. You wanted me to perform success the way Leia performs a curated marriage. This is what that performance costs. For a long moment, the only sound was the quiet tick of the wall clock. Finally, he whispered, I don't think I can sign it. I nodded. Then we don't get married. That's it? That's your ultimatum? You gave me ultimatums for months. Dress better. Look wealthier. Be more like Gavin. Well, this is me showing you what that looks like. He stood abruptly. I need to think. This is too much. Then think. But the agreement stands. He didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. By evening, he had packed half his clothes. I helped him carry boxes to the car. You're being unreasonable, he said. This isn't you, Claire. You're not like this. It is me, I corrected. It's the me you kept trying to change. The me who finally decided that if you want a woman who fits an image, she's going to come with the same boundaries as the men you idolize. He didn't answer. Goodbye, Jason, I said. He got in the car and drove away without another word. The aftermath was quiet, painfully so. But beneath the ache, something else began to bloom. Relief. A gentle, subtle kind of freedom. 2 days later, my phone rang. I froze when I saw the name. Gavin Beckett. Hello? Claire, he said, surprisingly subdued. I heard about the agreement. From Jason? From Leia. She was alarmed. Said it was intense. It's based on what you told me, I said. There was a long pause. Yeah, about that. I may have exaggerated. My eyebrows shot up. Exaggerated? Look, Gavin said. I wanted to impress Jason. He looks up to me in this weird way. We do have a prenup, basic stuff. But the rest? Separate accounts, allowances, approval for purchases. That was embellished. Why? Because I'm drowning, he admitted. In image, in expectations, in debt. You're in debt? A lot. The car's leased, the suit's financed, the lifestyle Leia puts online, mostly smoke and mirrors. We fight about money constantly. I'm actually stressed all the time. I'm sorry, I said quietly. Don't be. I did it to myself, and I shouldn't have made you think that was the standard. For what it's worth, I respect what you did. Drawing a line like that, most people wouldn't. When he hung up, I stared at my phone, stunned. The man Jason idolized was falling apart behind the curtains. The next day, Leia called. I owe you an apology, she said immediately. Gavin told me everything about the debt, the lies, the pressure, and I think I pushed Jason. I wanted him to have what I thought I had. I told him you should level up. I'm sorry. You didn't force anything, I said. Jason made his choices. On Wednesday morning, another message appeared from Jason. Can we talk? Really talk? I stared at it before answering. Yes, 3 p.m., coffee shop by the park. We sat across from each other at a small table. I've been thinking, he began, about us, about everything. You were right. I treated you badly. I kept trying to make you into something you're not. I thought I was helping, but I was just insecure. And that agreement was cruel. It was meant to hurt me. It was meant to show you the reality of what you admired, to protect me if I stepped into that world. You could have just told me. I did, for months. You didn't listen until there were consequences. So what now? Now we accept that we're not compatible. You want someone who performs success. I want someone who values substance over appearance. Can we try again? He whispered. Start over. No, because it did happen, and it showed us who we both are. I miss you. You miss the version of me you were trying to create, I said kindly, not the real me. I walked away before he could answer. 2 weeks passed, 2 quiet, strangely peaceful weeks. The kind of peace that doesn't feel triumphant, just clean. My shoulders weren't tense all the time. I took deeper breaths, fell asleep easier, drank my coffee slowly without mentally bracing for the next comment. I hadn't realized how much of myself I'd been shrinking to avoid the next comparison, the next reminder that I was not quite enough. Now the space around me felt honest again. The funniest part, I could afford to dress like Leia, like the glamorous women Jason worshipped, like the curated lifestyle he wanted me to emulate. I had the savings, the investments, the means, but I didn't want to. I never did. Because looking successful and being successful are not the same thing, and Jason couldn't tell the difference. It wasn't that I couldn't match his standards, it was that I wouldn't. And that difference, the difference between can't and won't, is what saved me.